What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Forza Motorsport 7. Today I'm going to be starting a new series, which is the built versus bought series. Now, you may have seen other YouTubers do this, where they get one car, they buy it, leave it stock, and then build a car up to the PI of the bought car. I'm going to be doing something similar to that. However, I'm going to have each episode, I'm going to have one bought car, and then I'm going to have 3 built cars to go up against the bought car, getting them up to the same PI as that bought car. So our bought car for the first episode is the Porsche 911 GT2 RS. I went with this because I thought, this is a pretty damn fast car. It's right at the top of S-Class, actually at the very top, 800 PI, and it is the staple car for Forza 7. It's on the box art. It kind of is the Forza 7 car. So I thought it'd be pretty good to have this one as the first bought car for this series. Now, this Porsche has 691 horsepower, weighs 3,197 pounds. Obviously, this has just got the stock engine in it. I couldn't find out what engine this car had. I was really trying to find it on Google. I was looking up, Porsche 911 GT2 RS engine, and it just wasn't coming up telling me what engine it is. If you do know what engine it is, please tell me in the comments below. I'd love to know. I'm fairly sure it's a V6, right? Or an i6, inline 6, I can't remember, but it's something around like that. But anyway, and it's also obviously a rear-wheel drive. Now, this car's pretty nice to drive. It actually doesn't have too many traction issues. Now, if you're not careful, you can slide this car out. Of course, it's got 690 plus horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive, and it's rear engine, so there is a lot of weight at the back. But saying that, having the engine at the back in some ways actually gives you more grip. Now, obviously, cars that were built that I was building for this this episode, should I say, they couldn't really be rear engine, because the only rear engine cars are other 911 Porsches, and I didn't really have any other 911 Porsches to work with. So that's one thing that this car does have against all the other cars in this video. But yeah, the Porsche 911 GT2 RS was very nice, and I was really interested to see how the built cars would go up against it. The first car I went for was the Mazda MX-5, the 2005 Mazda Speed one. Now, the reason why I went for this car, there was a couple of reasons really. First of all, I had it in my garage and it wasn't doing anything, and I do quite like the MX-5s, so I thought, you know what, it's just sitting there doing nothing, why don't I build it up and see what I can do with it. So this thing now has 690 horsepower, so it only has 1 horsepower less than the Porsche, weighs 2,868 pounds, so we're talking, what, 300-ish pounds, just over 300 pounds lighter than the Porsche. And this thing, sadly, is all-wheel drive. Now, I wanted to keep it rear-wheel drive, however, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it up to the PI with it being rear-wheel drive, so I had to make it all-wheel drive. Bit of a shame, but you know what, it had to be done. And the engine that I went for in this was the 2.6 litre quad-rotor racing engine. You can probably tell that if you know your engines just by listening to it. I mean, this engine sounds amazing. The quad-rotor is an amazing engine. I believe it's originally from the Mazda 787B. I don't know if that's original, but I know that car, I'm pretty sure, did have a quad rotor engine, so it's probably from there. So we're going Mazda to Mazda, which is pretty nice. And altogether this thing was pretty good. It actually had a little bit of understeer. I didn't have any issues with oversteer. This was not really an oversteery car at all. Never really had any issues with it, even really chucking it into the corners. Understeer was more of the issue. That was most likely because of the all-wheel drive. However, if you were careful, it wasn't too hard to drive. This was actually probably my favourite car to drive today, next to the Porsche 911, I suppose. But as for the built cars, this was my favourite. I just love the sound of it. I love the Mazda MX-5 anyway. It just drove really well. Like I said, a bit less understeer would be nice. However, I do prefer to have a little bit. It's a little bit easier with understeer than oversteer. The second car, I wanted to go for another Porsche. I decided to go for the cheapest Porsche you can buy in Forza 7, which is the Porsche 944 Turbo. I do quite like this car. I believe Jeremy Parkin used this car in a Top Gear challenge once for cheap Porsches, or something like that. I can't remember. Or was it? No, was it the ambulance one or police one? I think it was the ambulance one, wasn't it? I don't know when you use a Porsche in that, but anyway, this is a pretty nice car. I like it because it's not your typical Porsche. When you think of Porsches, you think the 911s, you think that shape. They all have a very distinctive shape. However, this doesn't look anything like a 911, and I really like that. It's something a bit different. Now, this is the oldest car, and with it being an old car, you don't know how it's going to go. We'll have a look at the specs quickly. I decided to put the 6.2 litre V8 in this car. Now I could have put the quad rotor in this as well, same as the MX-5, but I thought, nah, let's switch things up a bit. We don't want to use the same motor, we need to switch things up and test things out. So I went for the 6.2 litre V8 in the Porsche. Because of that, because of sticking that giant engine in there, it means we get 935 horsepower. Yes, you heard that correctly, we're at the top of S-Class, we have 935 horsepower, and it only weighs 2,648 pounds, which is 200, or yeah, 200 just over pounds lighter than the Mazda. That's a crazy power to weight ratio. It is, of course, well, not of course, but once again, this has to be all-wheel drive. It wouldn't get to the PI limit if it wasn't, so I had to make it all-wheel drive. And this thing was a handful. You can probably see here out of some corners, I was really struggling. The wheel spin, even with all-wheel drive, was crazy. It was a bit slidey. It was really hard to drive. This car was terrifying. However, when you got it down the straight, when it stopped spinning its wheels, it absolutely flew down the straight. It was so bloody quick and actually a really fun thing to drive. Now the final car I wanted to do was I wanted to have a rear-wheel drive car. Now those last two cars were rear-wheel drive, but I had to upgrade them to all-wheel drive in order to participate in this, whereas I wanted something that would stay rear-wheel drive. So I decided to go for a car that was a lot more modern. You know, having a modern car was something I wanted as well. So I went for a more modern car and a higher starting PI car. I decided to go for the Cadillac CTS-V sedan. I don't know why, I kind of wanted something American as well, so I went for this. It's rear-wheel drive to start with, and it can stay rear-wheel drive and still get up to that PI limit. This car starts, I think, in mid-A class, so you know, not as much building to do with this one. However, yeah, well, we're still chucking a lot into it. It's just got the stock engine. I didn't bother changing the engine, just the completely stock engine, which I believe is a V8 of some kind. I'm not too sure. 874 horsepower. So once again, we've got a lot of power, not quite as much as the Porsche. Still a lot of power though. Weighs 3,167 pounds, which is just a few pounds. What? We're talking 30 pounds less than the Porsche, but with, you know, near 200 more horsepower. And yes, this is rear-wheel drive, so I was interested to see how a rear-wheel drive car would go. You know, the Porsche 911 was rear-wheel drive, so yeah, with having the other two all-wheel drive, I just wanted something a bit different, because maybe this could compete on a slightly different level. Now this was, as you can tell when I said the weight, was a lot heavier than the other two cars, but still lighter than the Porsche. But it did feel heavy, and I mean, it's a big American muscle luxury car, and it does feel heavy. Even though it's lighter than the Porsche, it feels heavier than the Porsche. It's not the most streamlined thing in the world as well. However, it actually wasn't too bad to drive, all in all. So we get on to the times, and the Porsche 911 GT2 RS does still win. The bought car does win this one with a 157.776. However, very close behind it is the Cadillac CTS-V with a 158.060. That car was actually pretty damn good. I think just having a modern car suited this a bit better. Also, maybe the rear-wheel drive helped it out a bit, I don't know. In third, we have the Mazda MX-5 with a 158.793. Amazing car, my favourite car out of all these. It's just such a fun little thing to drive. And in last place, quite a bit behind, is the Porsche 944 Turbo with a 2 minutes .255. It's got too much power for it to handle. A little bit less power and it would probably be able to cope with it. But altogether, I think all these cars were pretty fun and I really enjoyed doing this. If you want to see more of these videos, please tell me down below because it's something fun to do in Forza 7. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.